Welcome to this quick lesson on 7 ways to deal with and prevent change requests. So, what I'm going to cover is just how you can respond differently when you get those changes, often at the wrong time, and often ones that don't make any sense, and obviously can be quite disruptive to the project itself. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't ever change anything on a project because change is a good thing if it's managed in the right way, because it should be about improving the product or service that you're providing. But it can be very disruptive as a project manager and quite difficult to deal with. It can be quite stressful and quite overwhelming as well. So, the first thing you need to think about, well, there's three things actually, is don't object. Because if you get a change, whether that's on email or a phone call or in any form, do not object straight away because that just puts the barriers up. If anyone ever just says no to you for something, you can imagine yourself in that situation, I'm sure, being a little bit stressed. Like, what do you mean no? But I need this. Or no, why can't you give me that refund on what I've just bought? It evokes some emotion and anger, and the barriers go up, and then you're much more likely to get into an argument and you'll be less open minded. So don't object straight away. You have to listen to the request. Make sure the person who's requesting whatever this is, they feel listened to. The next one, which is linked as well as that last point, is just don't react with emotion. This is really disruptive. We can't do this right now. There's no time for this. Now, they're quite extreme examples, but just think about what is the best thing I can do right now. And if you react with emotion, there's a good chance that how you respond isn't going to be the best way. And the final one is don't be led. So this is not easy, especially if you're a junior project manager or you've got a particularly sort of senior client. If you're just being led by what your client is asking you to do or what your stakeholder is asking you to do, like immediately, and you just get on with it, then you're not doing your job. You're not responding in the right way. You're not checking if that's actually going to be the right thing to do. They might not know. They might not have the experience. Just because they're more senior doesn't mean that they're making the right decision. They could be making a decision on a change that's something to do with they've just seen a website they like. Someone they know just mentioned something. Oh, I want that. And then they're requesting. You never know what's behind it. So don't be led when you get changes coming through. Right. First one is don't rush. Sometimes you want to please clearly, and you're like, yes, we'll do that. And you jump straight on it and you drop everything else. And suddenly this thing has just turned into this, what looks like something that's really urgent, but actually it can be really, really disruptive to you and the team. If you start calling your team into a team meeting and you're having more conversations, and you're talking to finance and things like that, you need to take your time to understand the impacts before you communicate or respond. I'm not saying you don't say anything at all to the request. Then you need to acknowledge that there has been a request, but waiting in some cases can actually result in it not being needed anymore. Because I've had examples where I've delayed my response and the recipient has had some time to think about what they're asking for. And then when I've gone back, they're like, actually, no, I don't think we need that, because they've just found another way. Or they may have just been asked in the moment by their boss, I think we should do this. So they just jump straight on it and ask me to do it without really thinking about, is this the right thing to do? Especially when it can have an impact on the team and the timelines and things like that. So don't rush is the first one. And one thing I should say is these tips, they won't work for every single project, but there may be one or two in here that you go, actually, that would work for my setup. The next one is yes, and, or yes, if. So this is just the simple fact of saying yes. The recipient already feels like they're being listened to. Oh, good. Right. This is good. We're making progress. But then the and is that's what the impact is. Or if. Yes, if we don't do this. So just that simple word, yes, just opens them up to be much more likely to be able to talk about this with you, have a proper discussion versus no, no, just make this happen. So yes, and, or yes, if. Number three is quick analysis. So don't always perform, and this links into don't rush, a full and detailed review of the change. For example, the changes come in and you then go, right, full team meeting. You analyze it, you come up with all these different ideas, you update the plan, you might update the costs. You then go to your finance team and you get the cost checked. You then get that approval from your manager and all the things that you would need to do. And then after, let's say, a day or two, you go back. All right, here's the full impact of the change. It's going to cost this much. It'll have this much impact on the timeline, etc., etc. And then again, they might go, no, actually, no, I didn't realise it'd be that much work. Let's not bother. And you're like, oh God, I've just spent all this time, team being pulled off the work to try and work this out for you. You don't really need it. That can be really frustrating. So wherever you can, just do a quick analysis. Okay, I've listened to you. I think what you're asking for, this would probably mean we'd have to add on an extra few days here, or it'll cost this much, or we might have to drop this. That's the sort of thing we need to be thinking about with this type of change. What do you think? And then they may go, actually, I don't think we do need it. Didn't realize it had that much of an impact. Yeah, let's move on. Let's crack on with what we're doing. Don't worry about it. Like, good. So you've saved a lot of time and a lot of bother getting the whole team together. The next one is the guilt trip. So this is just stating all of the work you need to do, because so often clients don't understand the amount of work that goes into a change. You know, it's the classic, oh, can you just make this change, please? It's only a 5-minute job. But what they don't realize is it is not a 5-minute job. It never is. You know, the conversations you need to have, the updates need to be made, then the checks, is it correct, etc., etc. There's always lots of things. It's never a 5-minute job, or very, very rarely it is. So if you go, okay, yeah, we could look into this, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to get the full team together, and hopefully we could get that in the next couple of days. That might have an impact on Friday's review of whatever you're going to be doing, because obviously it's going to take a bit of time. I'll then have to work with some estimates with the team, and then go back to them, get that validated. We'll make some changes to the plans, and then I'll review with the finance team. So it's just to make sure you're aware of everything that we need to do, so we're completely aligned. So you just go through all these things, and suddenly like, actually, I didn't realise it'd be that much work. Now I've thought about it, it's actually not that important. I don't want to take you away from this or that. No, let's just leave it. Or they might come up with a more simple request that's much more achievable. So that's the guilt trip. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Number 5 is options. So you've listened, you've played it back, so you haven't objected, and you provide some options. So these are the options that you are comfortable with. So you are now in control. And you might get the client to say, actually, this is not needed, because you've given them 2 or 3 options. So in some ways you win. Or if they pick one of those options, then yes, it might still be a change, but at least you're in control of that change. So you're taking that original request and then going back and saying, actually, this is what we recommend. You could either do this, 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 or this, and this is the impact, etc. And then you are showing leadership and you're in control of the situation. Number 6 is share the facts. So project manager, quite controversial, I've had a lot of people disagree with this, isn't there to please the client. You're there to run the project. You know, you'll follow the plan to a certain extent, focus on the project objectives, the deliverables, the tracking. You know, you are there to make sure things run and things get done ultimately. It doesn't say in the job description you must keep the client happy. It's all about the metrics and deliverables and things like that. If you do all of that really well, then you have clients who are happy. So share the facts is just about knowing your SOW, knowing your contract, because if you can quickly articulate when this change comes in, how that differs from what you've actually agreed, then again, not without putting up the barriers and just objecting straight away as well, you know, doing it in the right way, then the client might go, actually, yeah, I didn't realize that. You're right. That's not something we said we would agree to do. I'll have to take this away and have a think about it. So it's another way that potentially you could shut down that change request in a nice way. So that's number 6. Number 7, the final one, use your team. So this can go both ways. You've had a request come in and you thought, actually, I need to speak to the team about this. They may well come back to you and go, we should definitely not do that, and give you a reason that you're just not aware of. And then that's something you can just go back, because obviously they're the experts in what you're doing. You can go back to your client and give them that reason and go like, the team have actually recommended we don't do this for this reason. And in many cases, the client's much more likely to listen to them because they are the experts in whatever it is you're doing. Or another way that this can work well is they may come up with an option to go, actually, we can do that change. If we do it in this way, no, it's not that much of an impact, won't impact the timeline. We just need to change a couple of things. And then you can go back to the client and go, oh, yeah, we can do this. This is how we're going to do it. And then everybody wins. Team are happy, you're happy, you haven't had to go through a big change requests or anything like that. And you can all move on without having too much or barely any disruption at all. So that's 7 ways. A few ways of saying no, stopping those change requests. There's a few different ways of doing it. And as I said, it really depends on your project type, your clients. Have a think about some of these. Some might work, some might not, but adapt them as well. Hope that's helpful. Thank you.